welcome back to the Cobra Kai Pawncast. I'm Matt Borlenghi. Next to me is Drew Raskin, the Cobra Kai kid. Flip the script. You all know him. Most of you love him. And with any luck, you're starting to warm up to me a little bit. But, I leave it up to Drew to do the heavy lifting. He's the seasoned pro in this world, and I'm just like a little butterfly trying to make the final metamorphosis from the caterpillar. So I still have a couple of feet left. In fact, we're going to have a guest join us in a little while. A good friend of mine, Marklen Kennedy, who like I was telling Drew a minute ago, you never know what Marklen's going to say and some of the things that come out of his mouth. And, this whole butterfly thing just reminded me of one of those things he said. We've had some fun in the past playing some golf. And, when you're trying to put the ball on the green near the cup, you want it to land softly. You want it to, if you're going pin seeking, you want that ball just to settle down. And I never forgot one of the things he said. He hit a shot and it was on its way down, and he just kind of offhandedly said, "Land soft like a butterfly with sore feet." And I just never forgot that, because who thinks of that? And did I steal it? Yes, I did. I say it whenever I can now. But before we get into Marklen, let's get into the morning no. And this is something that I think caught the entire entertainment industry by surprise. But maybe not you, Drew. You got to see it early, if I remember. Project Hail Mary. What did you think?
I absolutely loved it, and I was hearing amazing things. I'm hearing right now it's one of the best grossing movies of the year, right? It's
had
really
a
good.
Huge opening weekend that far surpassed what they were expecting.
Wow.
Amazon MGM's sci-fi adaptation lands the biggest opening of 2026 and the second best non-franchise debut ever, behind Oppenheimer. 95% Rotten Tomatoes score, A Cinema Score, and IMAX PLF's driving 55% of ticket sales. Easily Ryan Gosling's best opening as a solo lead. Passing the lifetime gross of Blade Runner 2049 and The Fall Guy in 3 days. 80.6 million domestic weekend, with a global total of 140 million. That is strong for Ken. That is strong. And, I think maybe now, and deservedly so, maybe now people will stop thinking of Ryan Gosling as Ken. And I can't wait to see this movie. It just looks visually stunning. Tell me about that, Drew.
Oh yeah, you got to watch it. This is definitely a movie for the theaters. And you got to watch it in like Dolby, when they have like the surround sound and all that, and the HD images. It was visually beautiful. And Gosling, he's incredible. I've seen him in other stuff, so sometimes I'm like, I see him as Ken, or I see him as this guy, but he was incredible in this role. And then, it's him and this alien creature he meets, Rocky, and they have such a great dynamic.
Spoiler alert, he meets an alien creature. All right, everyone.
Oh wait, I thought that was in the trailer.
And I think this thing, whatever it is, that kind of looks like,
He meets
it
a
almost
thing.
looks from what I remember, it almost looks like a miniature amalgamation of those, huge like walker things in Star
Yeah.
Wars and everything.
Yeah.
But no, I was just busting your balls there,
Okay, I
Drew.
got nervous for a second. I was like, wait, that was in the trailer, right? I don't know if they were. I think I just spoiled the name of it, but
Pretty dun 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 dun. I don't know why I can't remember the name you said. Dun 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 dun
you know,
dun dun.
I don't remember. I don't remember.
But you know what? In reading stuff about the movie and the opening and all that, I did see something like alluding to the name Rocky, and it was like some play on words having to do with Rocky and rock and the rock and whatnot. So he meets Rocky, and they go for a walk in the park and
Mhm.
realize that they're actually on an asteroid instead of a park, and everything's changed in life. And they can't find a 7-Eleven anywhere, and that's really what the story is about, right? I
I
mean,
thought you didn't see it. You described the whole
I
thing.
Yeah, exactly. Project Hail Mary is all about just trying to find a damn Slurpee.
Mm,
And yeah, so that's amazing that a movie about trying to find a 7-Eleven in space
mhm.
would appeal to so many people. But hey, that just shows the power of Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, and 7-Elevens are now like more popular than ever because of this movie.
I understand it's really hard to open a 7-Eleven franchise on another planet, or even harder on an asteroid, considering, how do you keep up with construction on a rock moving that fast through space? But
They make it
hey, you
work.
know what? If we could land on the moon, I'm sure we could build a 7-Eleven on an asteroid.
When are you actually planning on seeing it?
I'm sorry.
When are you planning on seeing I know you already
I really would like to see it in a theater. The specific system that I have at home that took over for any cable and cable bills that come along with cable. When I finally cut the cord a few years ago, I got lucky with the system I have. I've mentioned it. I can watch channels from almost every country, and I can watch anything in any language. So if you've ever been curious about watching a show in Punjabi, I haven't, but I know I could. Um, the cool thing is, being that my Italian family tree, my heritage, uh, I can watch Italian channels, and not just soccer, but I can watch anything Italian news. I can watch UK news. I get to watch the news that the US media is afraid to tell people. So I know what things are actually looking like, as far as the losses that we are suffering. God rest them all. The losses that we are suffering uh, with this disastrous war. But the point is, I can also watch movies ahead of time. But you know, a lot of those are the pre-DVD versions. So if you try to watch it, you literally have like shadows of people walking down near the screen because they're
mm,
like by bootleg versions. So I make every effort to avoid those and wait, and have it come in. But anyway, yeah, that was really big opening for Ryan Gosling. And I'm pretty sure, will you take a look and see if Marklen is in the waiting room yet?
He is here. He is here. Are we ready to bring him on?
Let's bring him on.
Aye.
Let's bring that mofo in. There he is.
Marklen. All this technology. Now I need to learn, how do I turn all this up? Look at you going in here. I don't know what y'all were talking about. It sounded very space alien. I thought you were talking about Stranger Things. Where on New Year's Eve, we went and watched Stranger Things at the movie theater. We watched the last episode.
That's really cool, Marklen. I had no idea. Drew, you never told me that when someone's in the waiting room, they can actually be listening to what we're recording.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Now you know.
Awesome. Thank God I didn't talk about what a dick you are, Marklen.
See, you still can. You still can.
I just outed myself.
Yeah.
Hey, all right. First of all, you're wearing a hat. Are you trying to hide the fact that you're finally as gray as? God darn it! I mean, how the hell? You're almost as old as I am. How is your hair still black?
I got gray all over here, man. I got gray. It's in there. You can part it out. You have to
look really closely.
All right. So then I don't know how long you've been in the waiting room. First of all, it's fantastic to see you.
3 days I've been in there. 3 days.
It's really good to see you and hear your voice, man. Drew, it's been a while. It's been a minute, Drew, since Marklen and I have, seen each other face to face. And, this is, after, for I think the better part of the year, we were side by side, and I'll get to that later, on a show that we got on the air together, and really spent a lot of time with research and went through some really heavy stuff together on that thing. But Marklen, again, not knowing how long you were in there, I don't know if you heard me talking about, what a wild card you are, and
I just heard the 7-Eleven on the moon.
Okay, so I was telling Drew that you never know what's going to come out of Marklen's mouth, and one of my favorite things that you ever said, I told how when we had the opportunity to, we'd play golf, and the objective, when you're going for the green, if you're pin seeking, you want to land it near the flag and hopefully have it land softly so you don't have too long a putt. And I told him, like, one time you hit a shot and it was way up there and it was coming down, and you just kind of offhandedly said, land soft, land like a butterfly with sore feet.
Absolutely. That was my dad saying. My dad would say that. You just land like a butterfly with sore feet. You just
don't even bounce. Just flutter down and stop.
Oh, that's a good memory. That is
yeah. And I did tell Drew, that I stole that and I use it any chance I get.
Any chance.
Granted, I think all of last year, well, actually, I know all of last year I got to golf twice. And this year I decided to go out to a little executive muni. Although I did get to go, when I was in North Carolina shooting RJ Decker a week and a half, 2 weeks, I think 2 Mondays ago.
Yeah.
I went and hit some balls at a golf course out there just because I was playing. The character was, a general manager of a golf course. So, I was getting into that role immersion, you know what I mean? But enough, I want to focus on you. So, Drew, and our slowly growing audience. Marklen is a prolific producer and creator in the entertainment business. And, he's the man behind a cult favorite, and very popular show for Showtime called Gigolos. How many seasons did you rack up with that?
We did 7 seasons. 6 got out there. One of the 7th was counted in the beginning. And then they recently had another kind of telenovela tell-all after the murder that happened with one of the gigolos and his girlfriend and he's in prison. And the story just kept getting bigger and bigger and more bizarre.
Did that happen during the time? When did that happen? After the series or during the series?
After the series had finished and the guys were trying to find their way, and we were looking to see how we could either branch out. One, I'd wanted to try to take them maybe to Texas, start a stud farm. Brace was going to come out here, kind of retire, get everything's bigger in Texas. We had looked at doing it in Miami at one point to go to Florida, but there was a law in the books that you couldn't be in the same room with a woman, or the same bed with a woman you weren't married to. Kind of like the I Love Lucy thing. If you go back to the history of television, when they had to sleep in separate beds because of censorship.
Yeah. That's wild. I can't believe that happened, and that's, I guess, kind of how out of touch we've been. I mean, because how long have you been in Texas now?
We've been out here almost 5 years. So we came out into COVID after everything had wrapped up, put the house up, decided let's get back into where I was from and raise the kids up, faith, family, football, get them out here. First came in, lived close to SMU, close to campus, stayed there a couple of years, went out to Frisco to try that. You need a passport to get out there. Most of it's still Indian territory. I mean, it's way out there, but the growth is so extreme that it'll touch Oklahoma at some point. It really is. It's growing past places that you never heard of, can't spell. So past Prosper, Anna, Salina, Melissa, it just goes on. And pretty soon you get to Sherman, and then you're just at Oklahoma. So it's just growing and growing leaps and bounds.
Yeah, I mean, I drove through Texas when I was moving here to Georgia at the end of 2017, and real quick, my dog at the time, he's passed since, but he was pretty young, and he wasn't trained to take stops and whatever. So my drive just to Phoenix from the LA area took 11 hours instead of 5 because I'd stop. I ended up having to take side road. I'm sorry?
You kept having to stop?
I kept having to stop to try to make him go to the bathroom, and he just wouldn't do it. And then finally, when I got into a hotel, a dog-friendly hotel, and I went to, he still hadn't gone to the bathroom. I go to brush my teeth, turn off the water, and I'm still hearing water. And I'm thinking, where's this coming from? I walked into the room, out of the bathroom, and between the bed and the wall, he was creating a lake. Yeah, took every towel in the room to sop that up and all that. But Abilene, Texas, I stopped in Abilene, Texas, because I was searching for a dog park while I was driving, and I see Abilene, and I mean, a quarter mile ahead is the sign Abilene, and I have to get across all the lanes, and this is cool. That's where I saw this fire hydrant, and that was Dudley, and I was able to just capture that shot. He just went and sat next to that fire hydrant thinking, why aren't you what are the odds of finding a Dalmatian painted fire hydrant in a dog park and having
randomly out there, and there he is staring at it.
Yeah. So anyway, I want to know more because I know you've told me, but where the heck did the idea for? I'm still stuck on gigolos.
Sure.
Because Drew and folks, Marklen used to live in Vegas, and he was literally Mr. Vegas. I'll never forget seeing pictures, like social media pictures of, girls wearing tank tops and whatnot, saying, "I know Marklen."
Yeah.
He was the guy, and I'll get to the other thing that we did together later, talking more about Vegas. But Marklen, tell folks more about where the idea for gigolos came from, and excuse me, also tell us some of the cool moves that those guys taught you, like the what was it, the Mandalorian man slam or something like that.
The Gigolos was such an iteration of so many things and really bizarre. And like you had said, I came in onto that scene. We opened up a nightclub over at Bellagio called Light, and it was the first club that had bottle service. So we brought bottle service into Vegas. I was coming out of first LA and then went to New York. And so in the Hamptons, we had clubs out there, and they'd had some bottle service stuff here and there. So whenever the club started to get rocking there at Bellagio in Vegas, it was a 7,500 square foot room. There were 38 tables. So it was a small place. You could get 500 people in there, and you were pretty much packed. You could touch the front door and the back door at the same time. And when people started coming through with bachelor parties, bachelorettes, it's Vegas. Everybody's trying to escape. And so they're coming in being somebody that they're not, and they're going to go in and spend the amount of money on a bottle of booze they're going to pee out or something else that, they would throw money away versus spending it on a mattress they're going to spend a third of their life sleeping on. So in looking at that, how nothing's real and anything else. So Gigolos really had started as an idea because I had a girl came in for her bachelorette party. Now in Vegas, you get asked for everything. Three-legged anteater that likes peanut butter. It doesn't matter what it is. You're just going to, hey, I get this, I get that. I want a helicopter to take me over to the ocean. People wanting sushi in the middle of the desert, but nobody ever asked, like, well, where's that sushi come from? Because it's not like it's readily available. You're in the middle of the desert. So this celebrity girl had come in and asked that, hey, I'm here for my bachelorette party. I'm like, great. And said, I'm looking like, are there guys in here? I was like, oh, there's guys everywhere. It's Vegas. Like, there's a lot of guys up there. And she goes, well, I'm looking for like a guy. Still trying to figure out what the hell she's talking about. And then she goes through and she's like, I'm getting married. And just like as a guy would go get a girl, I'm a girl. I want to get a guy. And so I went and asked this guy inside of the club, and his name was Rico. And he had this Versace shirt that was unbuttoned down to his belly button. And I'm like,
so Rico Suave. Yeah.
I said, I got a question for you. I was like, this girl out here is looking for like a guy. And he goes, my friend, that's what they do. I gigolo. Oh, okay. Now it made sense. I didn't understand it beforehand. So went and talked to her, introduced the two, did all these things like that. Don't know what they had done, but she came back and she was very happy. And so I'd had a good friend that was an agent and that you knew over at UTA.
Yeah.
And called him and I said, hey, I got an idea for a show. He said, it's a terrible idea. It's the worst idea I've ever heard. And this is what I do for a living. And go back to being your degenerate nightclub guy. That idea is not going anywhere. So I'm rooting around and looking. And prior to that, as an actor, I'd been in a movie called Heaven or Vegas with Richard Grieco. And Grieco and I played gigolos in this thing. And Yasmin Bleeth was in it, a lot of our old friends. And so as it started to go and I was talking to UTA, they said, well, you need somebody to help you sell it. And, maybe we'll set up some meetings. And so hollered at Grieco and said, hey, I want to use your name and come in and do this and go try to get the thing pitched over to different networks and production companies, one of which was into Showtime. And Bob Greenblatt was the head of the network and Perlina was in charge of all the production and everything. And I went into this big boardroom with maybe 12, 15 people sitting in there and just with notepads and just looking at me. And I started telling stories that you had done or Drew had done or things I'd seen on TV, just made stuff up, but made it that it was these gigolos and they're all over and they know how to woo women and drive the cars and wear the watches and speak the languages. And at one point I'm painting a picture that they're all sitting around this blackjack table playing blackjack. And Grieco is like their madam or Mr. or whatever they would be called. And he's running the crew. And there's an ace of spades showing, and then there's a jack of hearts getting ready to come. And right as that's happening, I start singing Chaka Khan's Tell Me Something Good because it was 21. And they're just staring at me because I just tell me something good for no reason. So do that, leave, walk out with the agent. And I was like, you're right. It's a terrible idea, this and that. Well, 2 weeks later, they call and they go, okay, send us your deck, send us your Bible. And I go, I don't know why you would want a Bible for a thing about a bunch of guys that are doing this out in Vegas. And they said, no, who the people are, send us all the pictures. So Alexa, daughter, had been born. She was maybe 3 weeks old, and her name's Barbecue. So Barbecue was born. Carrie comes walking by the office with all the computers.
By the way, Drew, he named his kids Barbecue and Queso.
That's it. The boy's name is Queso. Girl's name is Barbecue. So she comes walking by the office and looks in there. And if you've not ever Googled gigolos, not the TV series, but what a gigolo is. And what comes up is something that is pretty shocking because it's just gigolos, and a lot of it's pretty graphic into that. And there's wife with the newborn baby basically going, something you could have told me about before we got married, because you're looking at just like expletive. And so I go, no, I've apparently sold this show and they want to see the guys and all these things there. So contact Cowboys for Angels, get this going. It's the hook is the straight male escort. So it wasn't a gay pay or any stuff like that. And the guys get videos and pictures and send them all into Showtime, and chose Relativity Real to be the production company on there amongst a bevy of suitors. And so then they come out and shoot it. And we use my access to all the different locations and everything out there and shoot the thing, and still didn't really know what was going on. I just showed up and had a chair, said executive producer on it. I'm like, okay, this is fun. I segued straight out of clubs and everything else because the light group had gotten bought and sold several times during the whole Dubai and City Center and things into there. And then I'd gone in doing what I did during the nighttime into daytime, and was working at a daytime club. And so all of a sudden, here comes the TV show aspect. And so shot the entire season. Police showed up the first day trying to shut us down because it sounds illegal, but there was nothing illegal that was going on. It's just, you don't show remuneration. You can show anything on screen and you can't really prove what it is, but if they're showing different things like that. And the first season came out. The very first episode, the premiere, you got Nick with all the tattoos is in the shower, and he's got his back to the camera and he's doing stuff. He's the one that's got the spider web everywhere, and he turns around and faces camera and you just see it in all its glory. He's just right there. And I just looked at Carrie, wife, and I go, we're going to have to move. This is not going to go well. This is not at all what I was talking about. I was talking about James Bond and yes, my love. Yes. And so it went and became kind of an overnight bizarre, everybody in the world talking about it. And I realized that Showtime wasn't going to put in $1 into marketing, A&R, any of the stuff out there. And so I reached out to every contact that I'd ever met and started trying to get them traction, and ended up getting on to Howard Stern, and they were on Leno through Diablo Cody, and there were watch parties that were happening because apparently Michelle Obama loved the show. There was a lot of celebrities were digging it. Josh Hutcherson was completely addicted to the show. And so just bit by bit, you would say even Glee and intertwined it into one of their episodes where one of the girls said, all I want to do is go home and watch gigolos. I mean, you were seeing it show up everywhere.
That's
so it gets
crazy.
picked up the second season. And the first season was kind of pushed where we produced it. And the second season, it wasn't as produced. But once you got into third and fourth, and you really got into the aspects of the social experiment of what it is and getting out of our own way and letting it tell the story, there were some fantastic organic things that were happening. One of which was, I remember there was a secretary from somewhere who just had worked her whole career and didn't really have love life and boyfriends and all these things. And she had saved up her money so that once a year she could treat herself to love, to the boyfriend experience, to feeling wanted, to feeling loved and needed. And so when she came out, we realized, but this has really turned from something where you would tongue in cheek it to where now it is truly something that you can say it's for the good and the betterment, but it provided people with the opportunity really to feel and to get out and do something. In the beginning, it was Vin always had a line about how he's a true feminist. And when I looked at it, the big reason it was so interesting to me, because everything on television at that point was strippers, dancers, prostitutes. It was the Bunny Ranch. It was showgirls. It was everything where TNA was the norm. And so you got used to seeing it everywhere. And so anything that had to do with Vegas was just all about the girls. And so when an opportunity came to give the girls, their comeuppance to be able to sit there and now let's look at guys. Jimmy Smits in NYPD Blue was the first to ever show a butt on TV. And it was just a cheek that went by. So when Gigolos came about, it was the first show in history to go in and show everything. Get some water. To show everything,
frontal and everything,
frontal and all these things. But there were certain rules to it, which is quite interesting.
And I do remember because I had watched a few because of you, and I do remember like what you're talking about, the secretary and whatnot. I remember that very humanistic side of it, where where they kind of like that testimonial aspect of a show where she's telling her story and like, why is she here? What's bringing you here? It's like, look, I want to feel wanted, those kind of things. And, that really gave it that third dimension, emotional impact. So that was really cool as that unfolded.
It was great to break it down from our acting days and how we learned how to, break down a scene, is that you're looking at what the obstacles, goals, and everything else. So in the beginning, it was easy to just kind of throw different ideas that you thought, oh, this will be funny. Like we'll team up and pair a little person into a date, and then all of these. And then you realize that there's so much more subtext of what goes on. So once we got into seasons 5 and 6 and different stuff, it really became like, we had Nick, the one with the tattoos, the Spider-Man. He had a client that came in and had basically had stage 4 cancer and wanted to, lack of a better word, go out with a bang. But it was, hey, this person was on their last leg in life, and they wanted to go to India, see the pyramids, all these different things. And so took Nick as the client over there, did all this, paid him, and they had a fantastic time. And so when they came back, we didn't show any of these things in there, and the person eventually passed away. But in looking at the experience, that it's much more so, and how many people, you go back to Woody Allen, the loneliness, the apartments, the New York, the sitting there, even you're in a crowded room all by yourself, even though there's 1,000 people in there and you can only hear yourself and your thoughts. And so if there's an opportunity to go in and make a change in somebody, to have them feel something, it's what 99% of country songs are about and everything else. You're just wanting to feel, want to feel something into there. And it just happened to be a backdrop into Vegas. And it was one of those shows that timing was everything. It went. Showtime was, again, always nervous about everything in there. We went through different iterations of different cast members. But when it was coming down and Bob Greenblatt had left, Dave Nevins was the incoming president. He loved it. Anytime I talked to him, he was like, it was the #1 reality show on Showtime. And as things started going, and then the show kind of just, okay, we'll see what it does and what happens with it. And they kept it as long as they could. You couldn't really take it over to another network and do stuff. But I did try to push it out and to do Gigalettes. I thought that would have been a funny one because I had the name to it. And then that was just, they raised their hand. Are these just girls? Yeah. Well,
right.
We've done that. No, but this is Gigalettes.
So they're hookers. What? Yeah. No, they're not hookers. They're gigalettes.
Yeah, not really. But it sounds better when you say gigalettes.
Yeah, and if you say it in French, it's even better.
But I think it will go on forever, that everybody remembers that show, and it was the pinnacle, and it changed a lot of stuff. Because you remember, right before the train wreck television was coming out, Honey Boo Boo, some of the ones where they were just wow. Kardashians, I've never seen an episode of it, and it's good for them.
Never have, never will.
Just to do little, not even follows. It's just following people around and trying to put a mouse in a pocket to see people's life. When you got into the gigolos aspect and the things like what we did of finding interesting people doing, extraordinary people doing ordinary things. So one or the other. And so we'll get into all our talks about Sanford and on Red Hot Rods and all the different stuff. It's finding people that don't really want to be on TV are the ones that should be on TV. And on the gigolo aspect, like in the beginning, none of those guys lived there. So produced it, they brought in, then they ended up. And so it'll be that thing, the little thing that just came out several months back after Ash was the guy that was all zen and everything was great about him. And then he had a bad trip one time. And sadly, a girl lost her life, and he's in prison for a long time. And
that's crazy.
Brought the light, the show back to light in a sense.
And, I wanted to ask what, in Texas, I mean, now, Drew, Marklen is, the kind of guy who is always I mean, the gears are always turning. And I
Drives you crazy
imagine,
sometimes. It really does.
yeah, you're not the only one that drives crazy.
Right.
I know, I have zero doubt that, you know, you're always looking around Texas saying like, okay, what's there? And, you know, what can I make there and all that? And, you know, it's like, I don't even, I looked up into the corner just now and saw that we're already past our, you know, our usual time. And it doesn't even feel like it because, you know, I'm never bored by what you're saying. You're always, you know, saying something that has value in moving along the story. Unlike me, I've told Drew like 1,400 times already, Drew, when I start going, just say, Matt, cut, Matt, cut. So because like I said earlier, Marklen and I worked together shoulder to shoulder on something that was really deep and emotional and socially impactful. And I want you to come back on, Marklen. And, you know, maybe, you know what, can we call this part 1 and come back with part 2 next episode? Would that work for both of you?
Certainly.
Works for me.
Because I'd like to talk about what's going on now, and, you know, also what we actually did, you know, hand in hand, and you know, really get into that, because I'm so happy you were able to talk so much about Gigolos, because I know what a big show it was.
Yeah.
And where is it? Can people still find it now?
It's still on Showtime.
On their app?
You can pull it up on the app. You can pull it up on your streaming that you do. You can just go straight to the website and you'll look down.
Like,
there's
they have the SHO app or something, like the show app, or am I right?
Yeah, it'll still show. They see it all the time. And, you know, on those back end deals, when they're going to sit there and say, okay, we'll pay if we sell all these things. It's in,
right.
I don't know how many different countries and languages and everything else. It's funny to hear, you know, Nick and these guys in German and Russian and different stuff into there. But it's just kind of a timeless thing. It's non-union, so you're not getting packaged fees on it. You just get your 3 parts before, during, and after.
Right.
So it's neat. A lot of people don't realize, and this will be more into our shows.
Yeah.
Matt, you and I's. But I mean, there's not a lot of money in this until you get to a point where it's a huge franchisable, you know, Pawn Stars, one of the big things into there. There's a lot of shows like that. Other than that, it's a numbers game. You got to have as many going as possible to get out there. And then most of the time people try to, you know, build their company up and then push it or partner and do different stuff. And you're just trying to get it going.
And then there are the cautionary tales of, like, you know, like you touched on Bo for a second, you know, and, you know, poor guy. I mean, he kind of decided to try to blow himself up, you know, publicly and business wise, before we were even able to do anything to try to help him do that. And, you know, but we'll touch on that too, you know. But what I really want to talk about is our work together on Postmortem, you know, in Vegas, because, you know, what a fascinating guy Mike Murphy is, and, you know, just the stories behind that. And we'll do that next time if we can, you know, hop back in same time next week and pick up part 2. Does that work?
I love it. We'll figure out where everybody is.
Yeah.
We have been all over the place, as I told you, moving and grooving and doing stuff. And Texas Heat's getting ready to come, and got barbecue and queso out somewhere. He is 11 years old and 5'7".
Oh my Lord.
Girl is she's a junior in high school, and she's about 6 foot tall.
Oh my gosh. I mean, look at you. You're a freaking tree. Yeah. You wouldn't know it from looking at him on the screen there, Drew, but he's 6'5".
Really?
I played football at SMU, college football, still now Dallas, very close to everything over there. And then Queso, he got the little acting bug himself. And
come on.
He went in 2 years now ago, and I took him to the same agent that my dad was with out here, called the Campbell Agency. And then the same agent I was with when I was in school out here, the Campbell Agency. So when we moved here, I took both kids over, went into Nancy Campbell, and I said, here's these kids if you want to do anything and stuff like that. And so they gravitated towards both, pushed the girl out, pushed the boy. A year or so goes by. He gets a CC's Pizza commercial. And I had never told him how to do any of this, just words that you're going to hear. So I didn't want to take his naturalness from him and any kind of raw. And so he books this CC's, and it just is a huge, huge deal. And he was a pro. He knew every single thing that was going on. And I was like, that was really,
great.
really wonderful. So a couple of months after that, agent calls and says, hey, we've got an audition for him. Can't tell you much about it, but we need him. This is probably at noon on a Tuesday. We need him to read this, and it's for a baseball player. And he had just come back from a baseball game, so he had his stuff on, and he had strep throat. And so we just took him in the backyard and filmed him doing this stuff. And they said, okay, we'll let you know by midnight tonight. Well, we go through it, and it's maybe 11:30 at night. And the agent had not called or any stuff into there. And so I'd called, and they go, oh, we've been trying to reach you. They want to book him. Is he available tomorrow? Yeah, it's 11:30 at night. Okay, we're going to call you right back. So at midnight they call. We're NDA'd, so we have no idea what it is. And they said, okay, be at this address for stunt rehearsal tomorrow, and get up, go down there. At the very bottom of all the email chains, once they verified it, I just saw something way down low, and it said so-and-so, and it said Lioness. And I go,
wow,
animated show. It's got to be something with Disney or something, like kids show. So we get up, go out there early, way before anybody else, because it shoots out in Fort Worth. Show up, and there's nobody anywhere. I'm just, what did I do wrong? And so bit by bit, here come all the trucks and everything else. And I'm looking around going, oh, I'll be dang, because the only thing we did see on Lioness is that it shows that it's Taylor Sheridan, Morgan Freeman, Nicole Kidman, Michael Kelly. And Carrie and I were like, yeah, no, he didn't book something on Lioness. That's not how this life works, where you're just, hey. And so he gets in, goes to his trailer. He's got his chair with his name on it, and a trailer next to all these. Annabeth Gish plays his mom. And you get out on the set, and I'm kind of just watching, going, pretty bizarre. And here comes Taylor Sheridan. He walks out and he goes, Queso, where's Queso? And I'm just, holy shit, I can't believe this is happening. And so I'm taking all these pictures, being the stage dad, like as far back as I can. And little dude just held his own. And so
That's
he
amazing.
did. He's a recur character on Lioness, playing Michael Kelly's son.
Come on.
Yeah. Little kid.
Drew, have you seen Lioness? It's a fantastic show.
Zoe Chanel. Chanel's on it. No,
Zoe Saldana.
Zoe
Yeah.
won the Oscar.
It's a fantastic show. It's full girl power show. I love it. It's so good. It's all military based, secret ops, black ops, rescue. It's really girl power. And everyone, folks out there, we're all about girl power on this show. And that's, how fun is that? Because we're not going to have time to do a For the Ladies this episode or anything else, because Marklen has a lot to say, and I love hearing it. So once he starts going, I don't stop him. Dude, you gotta give Queso a big high five for me. I'm so happy for him.
I certainly will, Uncle Mateo.
And also, I mean, say hi to both kids, and please say hi to Wifey Pooh, Carrie. All right. Will. And let's get back on here for part 2 next week, and have an opportunity to talk about some of our stuff together.
We will. I want to get all that stuff into there. Here's this new energy drink I've been drinking, and I think you'll love it. It's called Zuva. It's a cardiologist.
To me, my eyes are so bad, I thought it was Volvo. What is it, right? Zuva?
Zuva.
Tell us about it. I know this is your product placement.
Well, cardiologist crafted energy. Eric Dickerson from Mustang Lore. He is involved with the company. It's a family of doctors, and the cardiologist, he has created this all the way through, and it's got a lovely blend of turmeric and ginger and ashwagandha, all of these amazing things. But I haven't had coffee, it doesn't seem, in like months and months. So when I wake up, I just happen to have this here because I was going to drink more of it. But it's something that I'd love to get in front of you, because it jumps you in a very, very good way.
Yeah, and it's the coincidence is that I've been reading more and more about turmeric, seeing more and more posts about it in just the last 3 days. So, that's so strange that that's the first ingredient you would mention on that. So, yeah, I mean, hey, listen, we are open to sponsorship. If Zuva wants to get behind and start sending me some stuff, we are wide open to sponsorship. But, truth be known, we really need to grow our audience larger and, get more of the organic,
Tell me the iteration, the name of the Pawncast, because I like that name.
You know what? It just came to me one day. I was like, Cobra Kai podcast, but I'm the Pawn Guy, the Cobra Kai Pawncast.
Yeah.
It was that simple. So, all right. So we'll circle back and pick up with chapter 2 or part 2. We got to label this one, Drew. We got to label it part 1 with Marklen Kennedy. All right.
Sounds good.
All right, Marklen, man. I love you. It's great to see you. And like I said, hug the family.
Absolutely.
And Drew, I like you. And
I like you, but
thanks, Matt.
You're okay. You're okay. You're very special.
I know you guys have known each other longer.
Yeah. And all you out there, you know the drill. Peace.
Cobra Kai thing.
Right on. Yep. Bye.